talk about offenses in college football. We have kind of been doing a deep dive into each individual position, but I want to take a moment to kind of zoom out. Okay, and I want to zoom out and take because offenses, yes, teams have great. If you have a great offensive line but a terrible quarterback, it doesn't really matter, right? And kind of vice versa.
Yep.
And so they all have to work in conjunction with one another. As a result, you kind of got to take offenses as a whole and kind of say, okay, how are we going to look offensively? And so for this study, I looked at two particular data points. One was the offensive S&P Plus from our friends at footballoutsiders.com, where they take kind of the deep dive play-by-play data, and they come up with what is essentially a statistic for how valuable your offense is. If you have a really high S&P Plus, then your offense is very good. Either, and they usually, generally speaking, you have to have some balance of both efficiency and explosiveness. You have to be both efficient and explosive. So I took that. That's one data point. The other data point I took was from our friend Bill Conley at SBNation.com, and he has the returning production for each team in the nation. And one of those things, he goes through and he has ways of weighting it for as far as what your, he found a correlation basically to how returning offensive numbers correlate to an offense the next year. And he's kind of looked through the data and he's figured out, okay, basically like the more receiving yards you have coming back is more valuable than the more rushing yards you have coming back, right? Things like that he's found these ways of correlating, finding who has the most production coming back. So I took those two data points and I kind of smushed them together. The highest rated offense in the nation or in the state last year was SMU. They were 11th in the nation in S&P Plus, followed by Texas Tech at 25th, followed by North Texas, followed by Houston, TCU, A&M, and then it really falls off a cliff. You get down to Baylor at 86th. So that was what they did last year. As far as coming back is concerned, Baylor has far and away the most. They, in fact, have the second most production coming back in the nation. Okay? Part of that is that they were, in a lot of respects, by design, very young last year.
Yeah.
Very young last year. Next up, though, is Rice. Rice brings back a lot. Again, another team that put in a bunch of youngsters and said, all right, we're going with the youth movement.
Yep.
Followed by Texas, which brings back a lot offensively, as well as followed by North Texas. And so I kind of took those and I smushed those together, but I also wanted to weight them in a certain way because I don't think that it is – I think it is more important what you did last year necessarily than you did what you have coming back. For example, if you have a very bad offense but you bring back everybody, you'll be better, but you're probably not going to be a top 5 offense, right? So here are, in my mind, and according to this data points, here are to me the top 3 offenses that are going to be coming back next year. Number 3 for me is Texas Tech. I think Tech's going to be very solid coming back. They do need to find a new quarterback, but I think they really like what they have coming back. I think they're going to be in the mix for being the best returning offense. Number 2 for me is SMU.
Mm-hmm.
I think SMU is going to have
interesting upside play for you there.
I really like what they have coming back, even losing those receivers.
Changing coaches.
Yeah. But having Ben Hicks, guys, a third-year starter in college is really rare and really valuable.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
You're right.
Number 1 for me, though, I think North Texas's offense is going to hum.
Yeah. And
I think there's a lot of reasons why. Yes, they lose Jeffrey Wilson, but let's be real. Jeffrey Wilson was a side dish, right, to the kind of main course.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. Excellent side dish.
Important side dish.
The running game is going to be very good, but I also don't think that the drop-off from Jeffrey Wilson to Nick Smith is going to be precipitous. Yeah. I think they've got a good guy coming back. When you've got a guy like Mason Fine, you've got those receivers they've got coming back. I think North Texas, right now on March 13th, I look at them and I say, if I'm picking one team to be the best offense in Texas in 2018, I'm going with North Texas. Obviously, there's a lot of upside at Baylor. Obviously, we really don't know what Texas A&M is going to have coming back. Obviously, Houston trended up towards the end of the year. TCU, basically a lot of that depends on how they replace receivers as well as what Sean Robinson looks like. But in my mind, right now, on March 13th, I would say North Texas has the best chance of being the top offense in the FBS level in Texas in 2018.